up that the meeting is now recording. This is the first meeting for the Northside and Southside Green Zone as a joint meeting of January 2022. I will go ahead and hand it to Jackie.
Okay, hey everyone, Happy New Year. My name is Jackie and I'm on the Northside Green Zone leadership team. Before we begin, I'd like to note that this meeting includes the remote participation of members as authorized under Minnesota Statute Section 13D.021 due to the declared local health pandemic, if you haven't heard of the pandemic yet. The city will be recording and posting this meeting to the city's website and YouTube channel as a means of increasing public access and transparency. Board meetings are public and subject to the Minnesota open meeting law. I'm going to call this meeting to order, and I'm going to ask Kelly to do roll call. And for our icebreaker question, let's all do a resolution, a New Year resolution. Oh yeah, Kelly's going to go through.
So I will start with Southside Green Zone members. So Samara, would you like to go first?
Hello. Yes, I would. Sorry, I was wrangling up my rabbit. Hi, I'm Samara. Are we saying resolutions? Is that?
Yeah, if you want to share pronouns or anything else, Southside Green Zone.
Yeah. Okay. Yes. Samara Adams, they, them pronouns. Voting member and co-facilitator on the Southside Green Zone Council. And gosh, I hate to be that person, but I don't make New Year's resolutions. I'm like, because you can make resolutions anytime, but also New Year's is a great time to do it too. But I didn't have anything, so yeah, good to see everyone.
Thanks, Samara. Megan?
Megan Coolstennis, Southside Green Zone Council, she, her pronouns, and I also am not a huge resolution fan, but I was just reflecting today that I am going to be trying to think about time more as abundant rather than scarce. So.
I love that. Thanks, Megan. Joel?
Hello, everyone. I'm Joel. I'm on the Southside Green Zone Council, he, him, and it's not really a resolution, but I'm hoping to do a lot more swimming in the Phillips community pool. Nice to see everybody.
Nice. Is there anyone else on the Southside Council who's here that I may not be seeing on our list? If not, I will switch to Northside and we will go in reverse alphabetical order. So Yolanda, would you like to go first? And Yolanda, if you're talking, you are on mute. Maybe she stepped away. We'll go to Jim next.
Hi, I'm Jim Vole. I work for CPED. I'm on the Northside Green Zone, non-voting member. I never really make resolutions either, but I guess since we're being asked, I'll resolve to be more kinder and understanding of other people. We'll see how long it lasts.
Solid resolution. Vanessa.
Hi, Vanessa here. Happy New Year, everybody. Ain't seen you since last year. I didn't make a resolution this year either. With the state that everything we've been through, nah. I want to do that.
Thank you, Vanessa. Michelle?
Hi, everyone. I'm Michelle, she, her, hers, and I'm on the Northside Green Zone. Yeah, I was actually listening to someone on TV talk about not setting goals, but talking about growth instead. So I just want to learn as much as I can in all areas of my life. And so, yeah, being the best me I can possibly be, that would be my goal, I guess.
Thanks, Michelle. Lene?
Hi there, Lene, Northside Green Zone. I didn't make any, but we woke up this morning to a bullet hole through the front window of our house and glass all over the kids' toy area. So I did make a resolution today. And also my next door neighbor's car was stolen last night. So we don't have a block club, and I've been thinking about it for a while, starting one, but I'm like, I don't know. So now this has pushed me into wanting to start a block club for my little block, so that I can, and I already know all the neighbors, but I want to have some good way that we can all communicate with each other when stuff like this happens. Happy New Year.
I am so sorry to hear that, Lene. That is not a way to wake up in the morning. Leslie, are you there?
Yes, I am. Hello, everybody. Peace and blessings. Resolution. I'm not going to get caught up in everybody else's drama. People are adults. Deal with your own stuff, because I got to keep it moving. Okay. So I'm not stress-free. Is what I'm on. And the only drama I want to do is to make the North Side better. So my resolution is to keep it moving and don't sweat the small. And glad to see everybody.
Good to see you, Leslie. Marquita?
Yeah.
Hello, Happy New Year, everybody. I don't do New Year's resolutions either. I certainly believe every day is another opportunity to be better and do something different. So good to see y'all. Happy New Year.
Happy New Year. Joanne?
Hi, everybody. Joanne, she, her, and I don't have my video on because we have very low bandwidth for some reason today. And my sort of resolution is I'm going to try to befriend crows that come into my yard and see if I can develop a friendship with them, and then they can bring me sparkly stuff. So that's what I'm going to do. Because I don't need to work on anything else in my life.
Thanks, Joanne. Andrew.
Hey everybody, Andrew on the North Side Green Zone, and don't typically write down or make a hard resolution, but continually trying to get better and eat healthier.
Thanks, Andrew. Akia.
Hi everyone, Akia here. I don't really make New Year's resolution either, but I think one thing I have been kind of looking forward to since I just finished school is just getting a full 8 to 10 hours sleep each night. I think it really does make a difference. No more sleepless nights or late night doing assignments, so that's one of my goals, I guess, for this year.
Love it. All right, Jackie.
Didn't realize we were such an anti-resolution group. I would have chosen a different icebreaker. My resolution is to get better at keeping in contact with loved ones, and not just like responding with an emoji to their Instagram stories. And if I'm the last one, should I keep going? Or is there more?
Let's come back to Yolanda. Yolanda,
Okay.
Are you there?
Yep.
Wonderful.
Happy
Do you want
New
to
Year.
Yeah, go ahead and introduce yourself.
I'm Yolanda Adams Lee. I am Green Zone member on the North Side. I've been for about 5 years now, and I don't do New Year's resolutions anymore. And I think it's just people kind of figure out after so many years of doing that, we're choosing to do something that'll help us to be to keep it as opposed to making them and not following through after about this 60 days in. You're like, "Ah, I'm just being such a big liar here." But I do make faith statements. And so my faith statement for 2022 is to remain healthy and make healthy choices and support others as we all continue to go on this post-pandemic journey.
Thank you, Yolanda. That does make a quorum for the Northside Green Zone Task Force. I see that Karen has also joined us from Southside Green Zone. Karen, do you want to introduce yourself?
Sure. My battery is very low, and I'm not sure if it'll take me through the meeting, but I'll try. Can you hear me?
Yep.
Okay. And so Karen Clark, she, her pronouns, live in East Phillips, and I'm a voting member of the Southside Green Zone. And I think the question that I heard was the possible resolutions going forward. Is that right?
Yep. Oh, and I think we just lost her. Well, in any case, we don't have a quorum yet for Southside Green Zone. Not anticipating one this evening. So I might just go to a couple of guests that we have and then turn it back over to Jackie. So Rob, if you'd like to introduce yourself.
Yeah, hey everyone. Yeah, I'm Rob. I use he, him pronouns. Just visiting today. And yeah, I actually love to make resolutions. So I don't know, this year I kind of just said I was gonna be regular about eating lunches. That's my resolution. So thanks for having me.
Nice. Thanks, Rob. Peggy, how about you?
Hey, Peggy Clark, she, her. I don't make formal resolutions, but this is something I was thinking about right at the end of the year, and I'm just horrified and mortified by the amount of violence that we have in our society and how much our city has gone kind of wild, wild west. And I lived in Europe for a year whenever I was in college, and I'm quite seriously starting to research maybe moving to another country where guns are not allowed on the streets.
Thanks, Peggy. And then our guests from the Pillsbury United Documenters, would you like to introduce yourself?
Hi, everybody. My name is Azayla. Yeah, my New Year's resolution is, actually I haven't made one yet. Probably just to go outside more and touch the grass.
I love that. Thank you for being here. I'll quickly introduce myself and then back to Jackie. So I'm Kelly Molman. I use she, her pronouns with the City of Minneapolis Sustainability Team. I have not set a New Year's resolution. I've never been consistent in it. And I think I just want to wake up every day and, I don't know, be good with whatever happens, make the best of it. Nothing too formal. So thanks everyone, and back to Jackie.
Yeah, thank you everybody. So now we're gonna go on and proceed with our agenda. Kelly's gonna copy and paste a link in the chat. Today we're going to be talking about updates and discussions on current projects, including the community air monitoring project, the billboards, including the proposal or the competition part of it, and funding for the new year. We'll end with announcements, and now I need a motion to adopt the agenda.
I'll make a motion to the agenda.
Oh,
I second.
I will second it. Oops.
All right. There was plenty of motions and plenty of seconds, so I'll go ahead and call a roll. Let's see. So I'm only going to call a roll for Northside Green Zone because that's where we have the quorum for the evening. So this time I'll start at the top of the alphabetical list. So Akia.
Yes.
Andrew.
Yes.
Jackie.
Yes.
Joanne.
Yes.
Leslie.
Yes.
Lene.
Yes.
Michelle.
Yes.
Vanessa.
Yes.
And Yolanda.
Yes.
Wonderful. That is a unanimous adoption of the agenda for today.
Great, thank you. I'm now going to turn it over to Leslie, who will offer the land acknowledgement before we get into the meeting.
Thank you, Jackie, and thank you, Kelly. Our homeland is on Native land. As we begin, let us pause for a moment to contemplate an indigenous land and enslaved people. We have to start with honesty. Land acknowledgement is a traditional custom dating back centuries for many Native communities and nations. For non-Indigenous communities, land acknowledgement is a powerful way of showing respect and honoring the Indigenous people of the land on which we work and live. The Indigenous land and enslaved peoples acknowledgement. We invite you to recognize the written history of the United States, specifically Midwestern states, as fractured. Let us acknowledge then that we are currently on the land of the Indigenous who continue to be systematically erased by policies and practices that remove their history from this place. Let us honor the enslaved people who built the wealth and the foundation of the United States. Let us recognize the histories of the United States as complex with racism, of white supremacy. We recognize that these difficult histories persist in present day racial realities and prejudice within our movement of the Northside Green Zone Task Force. We committed to dismantle racism in spaces of our work. We invite you to work beside us to create change. Thank you, everybody, for this time. This acknowledgement came from James Madison University, Indigenous Land and Enslaved People. And I will send it to Kelly so it can be shared so you can see the words. And I'm turning it back over to Jackie. Thank you.
I actually think I can take it. Cool. Thank you, Leslie, for leading that. Yeah. So I'm just basically going to turn this over to Kelly. We've been having conversations about this air monitoring project for a while, and so Kelly is going to give us some updates. Kelly?
Yeah, thanks, Samara, and thanks for that land acknowledgement, Leslie. So in terms of community air monitoring, I had thought by now we would have had our next community air monitoring meeting, but things are moving a little slower on our end at the city. So I just wanted to give an update here on kind of where things are at. We have received over 100 different location requests for air sensors across Minneapolis. And actually, they've just recently been mapped. So I was going to share my screen and show where the requests are coming in for. These requests are from over 50 different individuals. So you can, I'm not sure how well you can see this on your screen, but the green zones are in these shaded green objects or shapes here. And then the dots themselves are color coded based on the type of location. So this pink color, sort of a salmony pink color, is our residential locations where requests have been made. Blue are public spaces such as parks, streets, or bus stops. The green dots are businesses. The purple dots are schools. Orange is sort of an other category. Yellow is churches. So there's a couple on there. And then gray is another other category. I'm not sure if we have any in gray that wouldn't be in orange. So these are where the requests have come in for. So what we're doing now is going through the list and trying to identify what sensor would go best at which location based on the type of air quality concerns that the requester had submitted. So some of the locations may receive a type of air sensor that looks at a variety of different pollutants. Some of the locations may receive an air sensor that is more specific for traffic pollutants like particulate matter. And then we may also find locations that need more specialized air sensors to collect information on like volatile organic compounds. So we're currently going through that list right now. We also may have to limit the total number of locations based off of if there are too many that are clustered too closely to each other. We want to have probably a couple blocks at least between some of them. So if there's a few that are like on the same street within a couple blocks of each other, we may kind of prioritize based on if an individual has requested it for their home versus somebody may have requested multiple sites. We will be prioritizing locations within the green zones. As you can see here, there are many other locations outside of, including adjacent areas. So that's kind of where we're at now in terms of the location, air sensor selection. So next steps will be once we've determined the sites and the locations, we'll announce that out, notify all the folks who have requested those air sensors, and then we'll have to put together some level of information session, workshop, something like that for the individuals who be hosting them so they are familiar with anything they may need to know in terms of hosting the air sensor. The MPCA at this point, I believe, is going to be able to display the data that's being collected on their website. So that's something that they're in the process of working out. The city and the Minnesota Pollution Control Agency are also planning on applying for some EPA funds that were recently announced. And the application will be due in February, I think mid to late February. So that's kind of our update at this point. There's also some educators from either Minneapolis or other schools within the area, within the city, who have shown interest in air sensors as part of curriculum and or having air sensor placed at their school. So there'll probably be a conversation specifically for the educators. And then we will likely have another community meeting to provide this level of updates to others who aren't on the Green Zone Task Force or Southside Green Zone Council, who aren't receiving this update right now, probably later in January, maybe the last week of January. So yeah, that's the update I have. And then I think we just have time for Q&A. I think, Michelle, I saw your hand go up first and then Leslie.
Yeah, I was just wondering about, I know we said priorities given to the green zones, and then I wonder about the areas adjacent that, you know, a lot of people have said, like all of North Minneapolis should be a green zone, or the areas adjacent in Northeast and the South Side. So, you know, I'm just kind of advocating for those areas as well. I'm wondering if that's been talked about yet.
Yes, yeah, so green zones and areas adjacent will be prioritized. Great. Leslie.
I have okay, my question is, like I see in the churches and I see the educators want air monitors. My thing is, do they have permission from the people at these facilities and these businesses because maybe Kelly, you can go into what James Trice proposal is for the green zone with the business air monitors, and is that going to overlap in, because he has something going in with the businesses, so is this going to overlap what the city's doing with the air monitors with James Trice and the businesses? And will you speak about James proposal to the north side green zone, since now everything has been determined from the grants and things that has happened in this past fall? And I don't know if I ran everything and was I clear?
Yeah, I think I understand what you're asking. So I don't have a ton of details on what James is proposing to do through the Environmental Justice Coordinating Council. I'm not sure which businesses he will be working with and if he's placing air sensors or if he's just working on doing business education around air pollution. So I'm not clear on that. If they are placing air sensors, they won't be in competition. It will be in addition to the air sensors that we're placing through this project. So I was just kind of going to look quickly through here to see what some of the businesses were that were listed or were requested through this. So I think the few businesses that we've received requests for have been much smaller, more sort of mom and pop, independent. They might be corner stores or little shops in areas where they're concerned about air pollution. I think there may have been a daycare center or two, which I think has got more categorized as a business than a school. And there really aren't very many, I think just a handful. So as I'm scanning through here, I'm not seeing any that would be like industrial facilities, which I think is more what James's work would be focusing on, that or like auto body shops or things like that. So we haven't received any requests from those types of businesses.
And as far as like piggybacking off of Michelle, are the schools in our green zones, either the south side or the north side green zones? Because I think what we have for our thing is how many actually are in the green zones, north and south side, more so.
Yeah, so just throwing the map up here again, there is at least one school in the north side green zone. There's one adjacent to it just in northeast. There's another school right at the close to the northern border of North Minneapolis. A couple, it looks like in Loring Park area. South High, I know, is one that has requested an air sensor and to be part of the curriculum. And that's just a couple blocks south of the Southside Green Zone border on Lake Street. And it looks like there's a couple others that are kind of south and east of the Southside Green Zone. So, you know, within the Southside Green Zone or closely adjacent, again, will be the priority. I think with the schools, depending on how they end up wanting to collaborate, we do hope to support all the schools who are interested in participating, because we do have some additional support through Minnesota State Mankato. There's a educator there, Jake, who's been providing additional support, and I believe is also writing a grant to do some more work. Jackie.
Would it make sense for this project to keep a couple air monitors like in the bougie parts of Minneapolis just for comparison purposes, or is that kind of like not what we're looking to do?
Yeah, so I think we will end up having some air sensors in some of the bougier areas of the city, but they won't necessarily be able to used for direct comparison. It may depend on the type of air sensor, so they wouldn't be able to be compared apples to apples. And also, this type of air sensor isn't like it's not as rigorous as a regulatory air monitor, and so there may be some variability amongst them, and we wouldn't necessarily. They'll provide a sense of magnitude, but the specifics may be a little imprecise.
Gotcha. Thank you.
Yolanda.
Yes, thank you. I have two questions. I'll piggyback off of what Jackie asked. I guess I would be concerned about why we would want to provide communities that have the wherewithal currently and historically to purchase their own equipment. The whole purpose of the north and south side green zones has been to continue to advocate for communities that have historically been at risk as well as that are still currently at risk. We have more than enough need, specifically, I'll say, to the north side, and we still have children dying and suffering from lead and asbestos and all of the other environmental concerns that impact their quality of life, and to sort of crosswalk over into the school component. These same children are attending schools that have historically have been built prior to and including time in history that they were built with lots of harmful asbestos and insulation and those kinds of things. And so I'm not trying to be difficult, and it's a question, but again, I would be it would be I would be hard pressed to support placing this equipment in an area where people already have the funding and the knowledge about air quality, etc. That is the whole purpose of us working as hard as we have been to get up to where we are now. And I guess I feel kind of like that's a kick in the gut to even consider that when we're fighting as heck to help the folks that need it the most. So that's number one. Number two, when we talk about the schools and those schools that are requesting the equipment, I think it's marvelous. But I guess my sort of sub question is it possible do we have a plan about how we want to approach other schools that maybe have not made the request, and can we correlate that with the data that we already have in regards to how those children have been medically impacted and environmentally impacted from we have disparities still in North Minneapolis around many of these medical concerns, and we are still in number 3 in the nation with health disparities. So I think we have enough. We have enough issues in the areas that we have been devoted to, and they would be priority from my perspective and from the covenant that we have created to do this work.
Yes, green zones, air sensors are absolutely the priority for this project. And related to the schools, in addition to those who we've already been able to engage or have reached out directly to us, I did get an email from Jenny Lansing in the health department, who's co-leading this project with Monica Vidali at the state. And they said that they've passed along this opportunity to, well, they had been in touch with Minneapolis Public Schools, and their person they've been in touch with has passed this opportunity on to all of their STEM educators. So it will be going to all of the public schools in Minneapolis to see who is interested. So this list of schools may grow. In the interest of time, I'll probably move us along. And if folks have any additional questions, you can just always follow up with me directly. We'll be continuing this conversation, and the air monitors will probably get out in the next few months.
Thanks, guys.
I'm not trying to be rude, and I just want to ask Yolanda one question. As far as what you were talking about, the lead and things like that in our community, are you coming up with some kind of data from a child's growth to their behavior and how their behavior, the lead that's in a person's body reacts and their behavior from the lead induced to adulthood? Are you doing something like that, or you just want to just see if they're doing things about the lead and that, or I'm kind of confused. I'm sorry, kind of zonked out. I like a comparison of data.
So my comment and the data that I'm referring to is based on the data that we already have had. And it's also, some of it is dated, but we've also circled back. So environmental health, and in the 90s and the early 2000s, when I worked for them, had a lead program, and that lead program was geared towards North Minneapolis and other areas that had high disparities, medical disparities. So the disparities that I'm speaking of are and can be both primarily in children, but it also can lead up to and inclusive of adulthood. However, the tracking that I'm speaking of that occurred from 1998 through 2004, and then we started to see we had a surge in 2012 up through 2018. This is the data that I've been reviewing and keeping my finger on the pulse. That it's the same issues. The children are being tested, and they have a high level of lead, high levels of asbestos, based on the dwelling to which they live, which oftentimes, more times than not, is a rental area, and it has multiple effects on the child. So it's not just their behavior, but it's also, we were also talking about their breathing quality, their sleeping quality, all kinds of medical problems that the child has. So that's the data that we already have, that we've already utilized some of that data as we have made requests to the city, through other venues. And we utilize this data, and we've talked about it to nauseousness, quite frankly, since the Green Zone project has started.
We're gonna have to hook up. I have a child, my youngest son, and he's 38. And not to get off topic and keep the thing moving, he had led severely bad, and we had problems living in family homes and everything because of the lead paint. He's adult, and he has issues that he needs to be on medication, and when he's not, he's a danger to himself and society. And so I'm wondering, are you tracking these kids from a certain age to adulthood? But we'll talk more about that, and we'll just keep the meeting moving. I have your contact information, and I'm very interested in this thing because of the mental health of my child and the stress he puts me in. And 1921 tequila is very expensive, and sometimes I have to take shots when he calls me. So that being said, we'll move on with the agenda. And I'm sorry. Happy New Year.
Yeah, Vanessa.
Hey, just piggyback on Leslie. Leslie, talk to James. There's a program that James them was doing for the lead poisoning, that the city has monies to help you and give you resources to get you some help, baby. Talk to James about that. That's all I wanted to say.
Thank you.
All right, moving forward, guys. And thanks for the conversation and the points there. One thing from one of our meetings that I did want to just maybe add on to that is there is data out there, as Yolanda had just kind of gone through, on the end result. And I think part of this air monitoring is kind of getting the starting points of that data. So having not just the end result, but actually being able to correlate those results with what's in the air. So I think it's just trying to attack it from both ends. So hopefully once we collect some of this data, we can see more progress on the results and some of the policy making. So as we go forward here, we've been talking and discussing about putting together a billboard to bring awareness to the green zones in our community. Locations have kind of been discussed. Design is what we're having the conversation about today, and I want to turn it over to Julia on maybe how we can roll that out, and then we can have some discussion about specifics once Julia gives us kind of what that's going to look like.
Yeah, thanks, Andrew. Yeah, so as Andrew said, we've been discussing for the past few months this billboards project, and from the past few meetings, I've kind of put together a potential timeline from discussions in the past few Green Sense meetings, put together this potential timeline for this billboards like art competition. So, and this is like just a situation or just a scenario. It doesn't have to be the way that it happens, but this is sort of based off of the idea that we would announce the winner of the competition at the Green Summit, which is tentatively scheduled for sometime in May. Maybe Kelly, correct me if that's wrong, but that's the general date time that I have right now.
Yeah, I think it was actually, I just saw an email announcement going out today that it is now rescheduled for Saturday, May 21st.
Awesome. All right, May 21st. So that would be because the Green Summit Planning Committee has been talking about doing the Green Summit in conjunction with a larger city-led summit. So yeah, so if we're announcing the winner at the Green Summit in May, then this is the general timeline that I was thinking of. So we would launch the competition essentially in the second week of February, and putting that out through different like channels and networks, particularly centering youth. So maybe the Northside Safety Net gatherings, maybe advertised at schools, maybe the park board could advertise that. I also know these groups, everyone in the North and South Side Green Zones have a lot of community connections. So if anyone has particular ways they'd like to advertise, then we can definitely incorporate that. So that would be the second week of February, and this would allow about 6 weeks for people to spread the word and submit their designs. And then they would be due in the first week of April, which is right before the next Joint Green Zones meeting. So then at the Joint Green Zones meeting, you all can come together and choose the person that you think should win the competition. And then that would be announced at the Green Summit on May 21st. So that's the general timeline that I've come up with. I have a few discussion questions, which I think Andrew's gonna facilitate, but in general, just wondering, does this seem like a good timeline? Do we have specific guidelines for what the billboards should have on them, like what the submissions should be? And is this competition specifically for youth or not? So yeah, Andrew, I'll hand it back to you.
Yeah, and thanks, Julia, for kind of laying that out as far as the timeline. I think that gives sufficient time, but I don't know if that's something we need to put to a vote or not. We can have a discussion right now, and anyone feel free to speak up. Would definitely want to, as we move this forward, kind of come together on what we think the parameters should be for the competition. So that being, is it just for the youth to submit drawings? Is it open to general public or just anyone that hears of it? Do they have to have some type of correlation to some group that will be at the Green Summit? I know we're kind of, I don't know if we want to go through these one by one. Kelly, do you have a criteria on getting through some of these?
No, yeah, and I know with a shorter meeting tonight, we don't have as much time for discussion as we might want. So maybe if anyone has any initial thoughts off the top of their head, does this sound good, bad, concerns, questions?
Go ahead, Michelle.
Well, yeah, I just have one other question. Is the prize mainly getting their art on the billboard?
We did discuss a cash prize for the winner in addition to getting their art displayed on the billboard. So that's something we'll want to come to agreement as well. Did we have a number that we had put out, Julia? Do you recall? Is that in the notes?
It's in notes somewhere that I can.
It was
find.
$100.
Okay, yeah, thanks, Leslie. So something to, drive participation, and then obviously get an opportunity to see your artwork up on a billboard would be pretty cool. But, a cash prize is always going to dangle a little bit more. Good question.
Good question.
Oh, Leslie, go ahead.
I don't want to dominate everything, but I've been in touch with KDWB, who has a sister station called Black Network, and also KMOJ. So it's basically the Black Network is geared towards Black information in the Black communities. And I reached out to them about doing advertisement and to get more information from them, how much the cost is. KMOJ sent the press kit. I did include Kelly in the email. I think it should just be for the youth focus, because we do have a lot of adult artists that are totally talented. And if you look through the murals through the whole city, you'll see selective of a variety of artists. And I think it would be great just to give the youth the opportunity to push the youth to stay focused and have positivity in their life. So I'm voting for just keep it as youth, and that's me, and I'll shut up.
Thanks, Leslie. Karen, I think you had your hand up first. We'll go to you.
Yes. Oh, okay, thank you. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, great. So what you're talking about is specifically on the north side, right, for the billboards?
That was what was originally discussed. We have not put any plans in motion as far as official contracts or, payments or anything. So that is something that we could look to expand. But initial conversations were for 2 locations in North Minneapolis.
Okay. The reason I ask is, so we got a small grant to do some signage for the South Side Green Zone. And I was talking to Kelly about it, and she said, be sure to come to this meeting because you're going to be talking about billboards, and there may be some things that we might want to connect on. But I think we have to spend our money by the end of March. It's not, we weren't talking about billboards, but I like your idea of, having kind of a competition or a way to do it. What we really wanted to do with our signage was to let people know when they were entering and leaving the Southside Green Zone, and maybe a little bit of a warning or a discussion about why the green zone is there or what it means. I'm excited to hear that you've got a chance to do billboards. These are really grand signs. It sounds like. I mean, are they going to be? You say in 2 locations? Is that?
We had also discussed expanding to have 2 locations on the south side. So I don't think it's exclusive to north side. The initial idea was Leslie's, and I think she had also, been hoping, I don't want to speak for Leslie, that it would be north side and south side, 2 locations in each area. And so she did get information to estimate what the budget would be for, per site per month. So we just need to kind of fit the budget to what we want the billboards to do.
And the funding is coming from where?
At this point, probably some city funds. And then if we don't have enough through city funds, we can apply for grants.
Okay, and then is the goal to inform people? I mean, I feel like I'm kind of coming in late on something that has been in the works on the north side. So I just want to know a little bit more about what the goal is, what the message of the billboards that you've been talking about would be.
I think you're joining at the perfect time, and that's exactly what we're hoping to solidify here is, what criteria do we want to put in the competition to make sure there is or is not included right in a billboard. So Karen, if you guys have had some discussions around, like you said, the signage you guys were looking into, that might be a good starting point for us. I think obviously we would want it not all just words plastered up on the billboard. Some artwork would be advantageous, I think, for just eye candy. But yeah, we've just been in brainstorming sessions so far on this, so you're not too late to the party.
Okay.
And Karen, the purpose was to let people, the community, the residents of Minneapolis know that the work that we're doing in the green zones, north and south side. So there was money, and there was the north side green zone had money for a grant, and I put in a proposal for billboards. Michelle did edibles. Everybody did what they wanted. And I just thought it'd be good to put a message out instead of knocking on doors because of COVID and passing out flyers because of, trash and ending up whatever. And I just thought a billboard be a nice way, safe way for all of us to see and to appreciate it. It was initially for the green zone north side to come up with wordage, and then expanded to the youth. And my thing is just letting people know all the great work and the people in both of our zones are doing for the community, so they don't feel alone, like, oh, I can't breathe, why ain't the city doing anything, or different things like that. But we are, to me, I call the north side and the green zone superheroes, so watch out, Marvel cartoon people. But yeah, we are the superheroes of Minneapolis. So that's how I look at you, Karen, and thank you for coming to this meeting.
Thank you. It's very exciting to think that this would get some visibility, the work, and maybe, I guess the other part would be some accountability then, maybe from the city to honor the principles of the green zones that they, you know, espoused when they created the green zones, that there would be clean air and you know, attention to the racial disparities and the health problems and all of that. And so I love the idea. We haven't started doing anything yet. I was just actually waiting for this meeting to have a chance to talk a little bit more with you about it and kind of see. Kelly recommended it, and I'm glad to see that bulletin board with all those messages is a wonderful start. So you've given us some food for thought. Yeah, we'll be glad to share whatever we come up with.
Sure. Yeah, and I like your idea. Kind of, I think one of those notes on the pads there in the brainstorming session is, you know, you're now entering a green zone, or I think you were saying, you know, it's kind of designating like you're in a green zone. Do you know what a green zone is? Or here's what the green zone is. Some type of messaging about, you know, what it means to be a part of it. So, Samara, I saw you have your hand up as well. And then Vanessa, I don't know if you had something to say, but we'll go with Samara first.
Yeah, I just had a quick question. I also would love to see art from that youth have created up on the billboards. I was just wondering what what ages are considered to be youth? What are we at?
I think you should give us a proposal now, and we can
Samara,
come to an
you're an old
agreement.
lady. Samara, you're an old lady. Okay, you're an old lady.
No, what was I thinking? I mean, I think youth could, kind of like what we're doing with the youth position on the Southside Green Zone. I feel like it could extend to maybe even like 24 and under or something like that. I don't know if we want to have like a youngest age too. I mean, like art from a 5-year-old would be cute, but I don't know. We might want to have a minimum age as well.
Yeah, I mean, I think we don't want to deter any interaction, and you know, I don't know if the 5-year-old's really going to go in with the mindset that they're definitely going to win this thing. I mean, it's good if they do. I'm not going to tell them they can't. But I think, yeah, maybe it would be good to have some parameters, like, you know, whether it's 18 and under, or you know, 21 and under, 24, and then, you know, some criteria for the submitted work, right? I mean, have some color association, some words that are included, or some, you know, maybe we just are saying, are you guys just providing the art background and we'll do the words? You know, I think that's going to be something we want to solidify a bit from here.
Also, while I'm thinking about it too, maybe you've already said this, but would the youth be youth from the green zones, or would it be open to youth outside of the green zones?
I think, if, from my understanding, would be open to youth that are outside the green zones. I think we were going to try and get it maybe through a few schools, but that's not something that we've put a hard line on or anything.
I just thought of something, and I don't mean to speak out of turn, but those that do submissions and it doesn't, and we like it, I'm thinking maybe, this is just me, I'm sorry, thinking, that we can put them in a coloring book and have their work displayed like that. You know, something like this is what the submissions is, and have it somewhere like that. So everybody comes out a winner and turn it into like a illustration book about how they see the green zones, like what the green zone means to them or something. And that way, like a little book, booklet, or a coloring book. I don't know. That's just the geek in me. I'm sorry.
Yeah, Leslie, you had a good idea also on like maybe a second place being used for some type of literature flyers or something like that we could hand out at a future date or at the Green Zone Summit itself. So I think it's something we would want to maybe put in our message outward, that not only first place will be utilized, we would try and make the most of all submissions.
Or even on a t-shirt, because we need to have a t-shirt. I mean, we like t-shirts, right?
Vanessa, did you have your hand up before? And then I'll get to you, Michelle.
Yes, I did. I was co-signing saying ditto on the youth, but I also said it'll be an opportunity for us to work with the youth and to bring youth into this board. I think we should have 16, 15, 18, 19, 21-year-old youth. We should have an advocate or representative on this board. Because they have a voice and an opinion. So I think this will be a great thing for us to get involved with the youth. And we got to have 4 boards. If we're going to have 4 boards, we can put more than one artist's art up on a board. 2 over north, 2 over south. That's 4 boards. And are the boards going to say the same thing over south and north? Or are they going to be different?
Good
That's
questions. Good questions. We don't have the answer for you on that yet, but no, I think those are points of discussion we definitely want to. Yep.
Yep. Just posing it to you, hon.
Mm-hmm.
That could even be something decided when you're looking at all the submissions. If there are like there are so many good ones, then we have to pick 4, or if there's just like 2 front runners or something like that. So
and you know, Miss Key's nephew, I had a pleasure of meeting him. He is very articulate, and I don't know if he would submit anything, but I think getting a youth from that safety net to be a part of the judge, and maybe even bring him in because she's working with them, and I think he would be a good candidate for leadership if we're bringing a youth in from different organizations to groom them into leadership. I think that young man would be a good candidate. I did meet her niece and some other youth, but her nephew stood out more to me as a future community leader. I see him in that realm. Miss Keys, am I wrong?
No, you're right. They're all just they're all different. They all bring their different gifts and energy to the space. But yeah, I agree.
Michelle, you have your hand up. I'll go to you.
Yeah, my question is just how are we going to teach the candidates some basic things about the green zones so that they have some basic awareness about who we are and what we do. So, they have that base before they start drawing.
It's a good question, Michelle. And that was something I didn't really get into, but if we are launching this in the second week of February, that gives us like what 5 weeks or something to create guidelines and kind of write up like a summary of what we're looking for, which might answer some of the questions that folks have about who the green zones are and what the intention of. I feel like if we state the intention of the billboards very clearly, then that gives people a lot of creative freedom to kind of put forward their vision while still falling within like what we're looking for. So that's kind of a vague answer, but I think that could be done by, I don't want to volunteer Kelly, but I'm sort of volunteering Kelly or I, or a new Vista perhaps. Or if there are folks on this call who are interested, you all can feel free to take that on as well with support from us.
I was actually thinking while we've been talking about this, I'm a youth member. I'm 20 years old, and I'm also, I'm double majoring in college right now, but one of my majors is art, studio art, and so if we want some sort of ambassador.
Yeah, we found our advocate. There we go.
I'd be open to discussing that more. Yeah.
I agree with that. With Miss Key's nephew, can we start maybe building a judge, a committee with Miss Adams, using a youth from Miss Key's safety net, hopefully her nephew, and I don't know who else might want to be involved in that process besides you, Andrew, since you're the lead on that. Maybe we can start a small committee just for judges too.
Yeah, it would be my understanding. I think we would, all members would get maybe we vote like a tally vote once the submissions are in. So everyone gets a say in, narrowing it down from the general submissions. And then, further from there, if it needs to be a subcommittee, we could do that. But definitely want to give everyone an opportunity to see and vote and see what represents, our groups. Kelly, what do you think is a good next step for us, just on the billboard side? I know we're going over on time here, so I want to keep it moving for the sake of other topics here. And I think it's been a good discussion on this, but it would be good to have some action items on here, I think, too.
Yeah, so I think based on our timeline, if we're shooting for the February launch, the Green Zone Summit Planning Committee has been kind of primarily the entity discussing these details outside of the Northside Green Zone. So we could probably keep at least some level of that conversation going there. We'll be meeting bi-weekly for the next couple months. So that gives us a little bit more opportunity. But if you have additional opinions, please send those our way. Feel free to reply all to the email reminders that I've sent out as you have these ideas, if you have other connections. And then maybe what we can plan on doing is getting a written draft of this proposal with comments from tonight out to everyone. And so then if you can respond with additional thoughts that we've missed or you've thought of since we had this discussion, we can then build those into what Julia had shared as we started this conversation.
Kelly, I just wanted to add one thing. I don't know if it's Julia or you or whoever, but somebody may want to have a brief discussion with Mary Altman in the Public Art Office, because she does lots of these types of things, calls, and she might be able to give you some ideas on evaluation criteria, how to select people, pitfalls, just, sort of that. I'm not saying that the billboard has to be reviewed by the public art team or anything like that, but and I've sat on the public art advisory panel, and it's hard to see people's work and then make decisions. So it's good to have evaluation criteria, so it doesn't end up sort of being subjective and what I like better than what you like. And so she may be able to have some advice for us on how to do that.
That's a great suggestion, Jim. Thank you. Yeah, and it's possible if anyone else has participated in anything like that, or maybe if we kind of bounce some of the ideas off of Juxta, and they might have, put out calls for art as well. I did speak with one of our communications staff who can also help us get the word out, at least through our internal communications as well, like out to council offices, when they can put that in their newsletters. But yeah, please keep sending additional ideas. We'll get something out for you all to react to that's written. So I will just transition at this point into our next topic. Leslie and I are going to kind of tag team this, and we don't have very much time. But I wanted to start off a conversation around the budget for green zones for this year. Council members Cano and Gordon, as they were exiting, as they are no longer sitting council members, they made a budget amendment to the city's budget for 2022 and got $100,000 in one-time funds for the green zone. And I want to read to you what the budget amendment included, because they had some proposed language there that does give us some guidelines or parameters for how to use the funds. So it says, what was adopted is amending the 2022 mayor's recommended budget for the city coordinator's department sustainability division, which is where I work and the Green Zones is based out of, in the amount of $100,000 for one-time funds to hire consultants who will work with the mayor, the city council, city staff, and members of the Northside and Southside Green Zones to assess the success and challenges of the city's green zones efforts and present recommendations for improvement. This evaluation work will identify a series of city resources and internal strategies that will be needed to implement the green zones work plans and policy recommendations. Funding may be used to compensate community members who are appointed to serve on the North Side and South Side green zones to participate during the assessment and evaluation period. So wanted to kick off a conversation this evening around what those dollars can be used for. I kind of put together a few different proposals just to get our juices flowing. Leslie's going to have a chat with us about, in terms of the money for compensation for you all, for members of the North Side and South Side green zones, what that amount should be. And then what would we want this consultant to do? What would we want their scope of work to be? So I'm going to share my screen again and show you, again, I just put together a few scenarios to help us think through what this budget could be used for. And I also clarified with my supervisor that we will still, in addition to this $100,000, have another $50,000 for Green Zone's community-based projects like we released this past fall. So that will be in addition to this $100,000. So we don't have to worry about funding those community projects out of this $100,000. So I'm not sure how big or small this is showing up on your screen. I'm trying to make it as big as I can, but so a couple different scenarios. If we did $50 stipends per person per meeting, we would need approximately $25,000 for the year for stipends. If we did $100 per meeting per person, we would need about $50,000. So again, that's coming out of this total 100. The consultant scope could range from anywhere approximately around 25,000 to 50,000. And then any remaining funds we could think about using for the Green Zone Summit, for our billboards, adding to our community projects fund, and then anything else that is advancing our goals for this year. And in both North Side and South Side Green Zone meetings, we did have discussions around what our 2022 goals are. So this is from the North Side Green Zone. We want doing the billboards, the summit, like all of these things that we're talking about, supporting the work at the Regional Apprenticeship Training Center, more council member involvement, more youth engagement, raising awareness. So these are all goals that North Side. For South Side, very similar, the summit, billboards, community air monitoring, also doing some specific South Side projects, getting more money for development. So again, this is just ways to get juices flowing. These are not numbers that we have to follow. With these scenarios, if we went on the smaller end for stipends and had $25,000 spent there, and on the smaller end for the evaluation consultant, it would leave us with $50,000 to spend amongst our other initiatives. Or if we went on the high end for both stipends and the consultant, then that would use the whole $100,000, and so we wouldn't have any additional for other activities. This is something that we'll want to make a decision on probably sooner than later, just to mostly to get the scope of work for a consultant out, because that does take a while to process through the city. So I did kind of think through a couple scenarios for that consultant. So again, the language in the budget is that the consultant will assess the success and challenges of the city's green zone efforts and present recommendations for improvement. They'll identify a series of city resources and internal strategies that will be needed to implement the green zone's work plans and policy recommendations. So it's pretty generic. So, what I was thinking is, the consultant may want to attend Green Zone meetings to get a sense of the work that we're doing, meet many of you. They may want to do one-on-one interviews with some of us and other stakeholders. There'd probably be some amount of research, some amount of writing, and then we'd want them to present their findings. And so different amount of hours at about $125 an hour rate, which is kind of a moderate rate for consultants. This would be kind of the breakdown for 50,000 and 25,000. So I'll share this with everyone. We don't really have a lot of time tonight to go into detail and discuss. But maybe Leslie, we could use our last few minutes this evening to just talk about the level of stipend that people are interested in.
So to me, it's very important that we get some kind of compensation. I'm looking more towards Plan B that Kelly had put in for us to get $100. And I know that this will just be only money that we'll be able to get at the present time for us to get paid for our work. And it was very important for me to include this in this grant for us. $50 is okay, but let's be real about the cost of living and things like that and the time consuming. And I feel that we're worth more than that, but because of the money and what we have, I feel that the $100, I'm voting for $100, $25,000 for the consultant. I feel that the work that they can do is to give us insight would be great, but to spend $50,000 for them to do a little bit more that we as a team, North and South, can do together, facilitate and things like that. And I'm pretty sure some of you are very well educated to even assess us being biased. So my thing again is for us to get paid 100, and we can take a vote on how you guys want to do the rest of the money. I'm just advocating that we get paid $100 per meeting. So that's me, and that's how I feel about you guys. I wish it was more. Maybe we can do 150, cut them even less, but it's a start.
So I see Lene's hand up, and then Vanessa, and then Michelle.
Yeah, I was just going to say that I've never been on any volunteer group where, well, I guess it ceases being a volunteer group if you're being paid. And many of us have been doing this 4 or 5 years without compensation. And so I'm just wondering, I don't know, it's like, I don't want to bite the hand that feeds me, but if people are willing and able to do this work without compensation, will that change motivations, or will that change the thrust of our mission, I guess, if we're being paid? And that'll probably ramp up expectations. I think that we have to be realistic about how that would change things. Or, in the past, we've had to try really hard to get members. But if we were starting to pay people to be on a Zoom call once a month for 2 hours, then I think that we'd have a flood possibly of interested people. And I just want to be really clear-eyed about this, because that's a whole new territory to pay people for a volunteer obligation.
Vanessa?
I just wanted to get clarification because she said being paid $100 a meeting. Did you mean a meeting or an hour?
It's per meeting, like $50 a meeting. Southside was getting money, and I don't know how much. Some of these committees that are based for the work that we do under the city, people are getting paid $50 per meeting, not just in Minnesota, but in other states and cities. I get the thing about volunteering and what entity, but we only have so many seats in so many areas. And then it's a criteria of where people's missions are, because a lot of people are on these committees and they don't do anything just to be on there. And it has to be about input. And I get the volunteer. I volunteer, but I just, it's not about really the money. It's just, to me, it's important. And I get the flood, and will your work be value? I think your work is value. But if you don't feel comfortable with the money, we can not give you that, Lynette, and not be rude. But I feel that you're worth it. And if you feel that your work would change because you're getting paid, or you don't even think we should, then we could throw that in arenas. Other people might feel the same way. They feel they don't want to get paid for it. So that's fine too. So maybe we should have a board. Do you want to get paid? Do you not? Do you want $50 or not? I mean, we can do this vote, and Kelly, we could do a Blackboard thing for different things. And it's not an hour, it's a meeting.
Well, Leslie, the city has already established that members that are doing leadership or getting paid, they're getting paid $50 an hour. So now to get paid just $50 a meeting, that's cutting what you would people already getting paid in half.
I don't know. Is it meeting? It was per meeting, right, Kelly? Per meeting.
Yeah, the two proposed scenarios are per meeting. So $50 per meeting or $100 per meeting. And that, again, that was just as an example to show how the dollars could break out. You could propose a different number.
The city's not paying us, okay? So if you got, if you guys don't want to get paid, hey, there you go. It's up to us what you want to do, but I advocate it so we can have a little bit of money in our pocket for gas, food, chips, whatever. And I just thought it was fair, because the city is paying different people $50 an hour, and none of us are getting anything. And some people are and some aren't. So, it's a thing to be voted on. If you don't, then we got $100,000, but the city said they're going to give it to us for us to be compensated. So the city is recognizing that they want to give us money. So let's get the money. Okay.
All right, so if Samara and Michelle, and then we need to wrap up.
So I'm curious how this is comparable to what the Southside Green Zone is getting paid. I'm curious about what will happen then at the end of this year, because I'm guessing that the Northside Green Zone then will go back to not getting paid, and the Southside Green Zone will continue to get paid. Is that correct? And that we would have to write a grant then to get paid again. So I guess those are the kinds of questions that I have.
Yeah, so Southside Green Zone did have a grant previously for payment, and initially it started at $100 a meeting. They went down to $50 a meeting to extend those monies to last longer. The monies are now gone, so until there is another funding opportunity, then it's only small stipends for leadership team members who are putting in more hours and holding a lot for the green zones right now. So this would be for funding for both Northside and Southside for just 1 year, as you're pointing out, Michelle. And so, yes, after 1 year, we would have to find another source.
For both teams?
Yep. And Samara, you had a comment or question?
Yeah, I know we don't have a lot of time, but I just wanted to bring up, like for me personally, I would do all of this. I don't feel a need to be compensated as much, but I also recognize that you all are doing amazing work and want y'all to be compensated. But just as a representative of the Southside Green Zone, we've been having a lot harder of a time with getting members and figuring stuff like that out. And so I think it would be nice for us to have more of that, a facilitator to kind of help evaluate our Southside Green Zone meetings and hopefully help us be more effective as a group. And so I would be more inclined to give more less to our stipend, more to a facilitator type of person.
Question.
You guys, I gotta drop out real quick, but it's good seeing everybody. Happy New Year again.
Thank you, Ms. Vanessa. Happy New Year.
All right.
Yeah, Andrew, what were you saying?
Oh, just seeking some clarification around, facilitator versus consultant, and curious what that role, I think looking at them as a facilitator of the meetings could be valuable, but is that within what they would be expecting in their hiring, as a consultant?
Yeah, so I think at a minimum, we would want the scope of work for a consultant to include evaluation, because that's what the monies have been given for. But if there is additional work that we would want this consultant, or maybe it's two scopes of work, maybe we're looking for two different consultants. And then, we could decide to use the funds for that as well.
Well, see, it's kind of different because the North Side, our leadership team, we're learning how to facilitate so we can grow and develop. And I'm sorry the South Side doesn't have that many participants. So then it's different needs for two different zones. And that's going to cost where you guys are getting something that we don't even need. And so would that be, I don't know. To me, then, if you're representing the South Side where you guys need to vote, if you want to take the lesser, and because we're trying to learn and build to become better leaders within our group. If I'm wrong, anybody on the North Side, speak up, and to be able to facilitate and to be invited to these different entities where we're not left behind. And so I can see as a consultant, but not as a facilitator, because then we're paying them to run our meetings. And I don't want people to be running our stuff when we're trying to learn and run our own. So if you guys need somebody to run your meetings, that's what they'll be doing. So it's a big different need for North and South Side. To me, in my mind.
I used the word facilitator. I meant to say consultant. That was just a mix up in my language.
Oh. All right. Well, we are at a few minutes after 8, and I do want to respect everyone's time. So this sounds like something that we should come back to. I think if folks can be attuned to your email, we can hopefully figure out some of these details, and maybe then by our joint April meeting, be able to make a final decision so that we can get the scopes of work going, use our budget.
Yeah, definitely worth more conversation. So I'd be happy to hop on an email chain to get everyone's perspective on that.
And then we can discuss independently at our Northside and Southside Green Zone meetings before coming back together as well.
Can we have a poll? You know how they run a poll? So you have the plan A, B, and C, D there, and how it would go. Could you put it as a poll? And then that way we can get votes to how people are feeling, and to give them time before we meet again to really think about if they want lower pay, not pay, volunteer, and their thoughts as a vote, and then put a comment in there. Can we set up something like that for everybody?
Yep. Yes, absolutely. All right. Karen, did you have a final comment?
Oh, I'm sorry. I raised it earlier, but I think I didn't have my screen on. Yeah, I guess it was helpful, Samara, to hear that you didn't mean facilitator, because I think Kelly basically does that for us, and I'm interested in what the kind of consultant is that we would have. I want us to be a more effective and powerful group with the city, and some of the evaluation isn't evaluating us so much as it is evaluating what in the heck is the city paying attention to us when we do our work, you know. So, and not just the city. I mean, we're the city is our sponsor, of course, but I mean, it's all the units of government. So I just want to throw that in there. I'll be glad to participate in an email. I don't need to take any more time now. Thanks.
I had very similar thoughts, Karen. I think that can absolutely be in the consultant scope of work. Great. Well, I did have a few announcements. I'll send those in a follow-up email just for some upcoming meetings and opportunities through the county and other places. Anything you all want to share with each other before we sign out for the evening? Any announcements that you all have to share?
Can I make a quick announcement?
Yeah, go ahead, Michelle.
Okay, yeah, I just want to invite everyone to our next Edible Boulevards cooking class. That's on January 22nd from 11 to 12:30. We are going to be learning how to make, or for some of us, we're going to learn how to make Hoppin' John. So black-eyed peas and rice, which I'm really excited about. So I'll send that information to Kelly, who can get that out there.
Yes, I will include that in a follow-up email.
Thanks.
All right. Anyone want to make a motion to adjourn?
I move to adjourn.
Oops. Multiple motions. Great. Well, thank you everyone for a great meeting. Thank you, Julia, for your year of commitment through the VISTA position, the Northside Promise Zone and the Green Zones.
Yay, Julia! Thank you!
That's very kind. We don't need the class. No, actually, thank you all. It's been really amazing to be able to work with you this year.
Yeah, so
We'll miss.
Yes, we will miss you, and we'll keep everyone up to date on your adventures as you head out east again. All right, well, take care, everyone. Stay healthy, stay safe, stay warm, and we'll see you soon.
Thanks. You.
Bye, everybody. Stay safe. Happy